Hey guys, welcome to a very exciting game of the FIDE World Cup 2019. The finals are being played between Ding and Timur Radjabov. In this game, Ding has the white pieces and let's see how the game goes. But before that, I want to give you some information. The first game ended up in a draw, both players getting half point each. And now Ding and Radjabov play their second game. Ding has the white pieces, and now let's get into the game to see how the game goes. We have c4, an English opening, and knight to f6 in response by Radjabov. We have knight to c3, and now e6. We get e4 and c5. It's pretty strange why he didn't really go for this pawn push, but he didn't really want to weaken his pawn structure, I guess. Which is why he played c5, and this is inviting e5 to be pushed, because once you push this, your knight has to move, and that's exactly what happened. e5 was played by Ding, and this knight doesn't really have any squares to go except the one back here on g8, because mainly all of these squares are covered by all the pieces. The queen is covering this square, this knight is covering the e4 square, and this pawn is covering the d5 square. So there is no other alternative, but he has to go back with his knight, so knight to g8. Knight to f3, a developing move, and knight to c6. Now finally you have to somehow get rid of this forward pawn, because I mean, it could be a pain in black's position if you don't get rid of this, because currently this is controlling pretty nice squares in the black's territory. So we get d4 and c takes d4, not allowing this d4 to stay here with the support of this pawn, and now knight takes d4, thereby relieving the control over this pawn, and Timur Radjabov says, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to capture it, so knight captures e5. We get knight d to b5, now trying to get some counterplay going, controlling the key squares, and it's important to kick this knight away from here as soon as possible, so a6 is played, just kicking the knight away or pushing the knight further into the queen's territory. That's what Ding does. He says, I'm not running away with my knight, that's not why I put my knight here, but instead he plays knight to d6 with check. Now this knight is nicely protected by the queen, so you don't have to worry about this captures, as you get rid of one of the dark square bishops from black's arsenal. So bishop takes d6 and queen takes d6. Now look at the queen controlling very key squares in black's structure, and this is just move 10, and queen is already on d6. Although it can be kicked away, but it's not easy to kick the queen away, and even here black cannot really castle, because for now this f8 square is covered by the queen. And there is a knight, so once you develop the knight, you might be able to castle, but not right now. So we get f6, just creating some breathing space for the king in case of some issues that might occur. We have bishop to e3 and knight to e7, a very brave move, because this is inviting the bishop to be put here on b6, which looks like it trapped the queen. So bishop to b6 was played, and your queen is trapped, or is it? So this is a good opportunity for you guys, a good exercise. Try to pause the video and find a continuation. How do you save this queen? Or at least try to exchange this queen with this particular queen. That's a hint. So for those who were able to do it, congratulations, you guys are amazing players, keep it up. And for the rest of us who were not able to find, the move to find was knight to f5. Now you are also attacking this queen, and you create some breathing space here for your own queen. Now either you're going to get bishop captures, and let's show you what happens after bishop captures, because bishop captures here on d8, and now your knight captures on d6. thereby opening up an attack on this piece. This pawn is double attacked and is protected only once. And also your bishop here on d8 is attacked. So if you try to save the bishop to d6, all you're going to do is knight e captures c4, and now you have two pawns for just one pawn against one pawn, and you have the queens off the board. Even though this bishop is in a pretty good position, but once you move this, once you develop this piece, you can put your knight here and try to attack it and get this bishop out of this b6 square. But that is going to take some calculations, and for now this bishop will be stuck here. And it's a nice attacking piece, so Radjabov did not really want to go for this variation. So after bishop to b6 was played and knight to f5, we get queen to b4. Ding also did not want to go for this variation because he will drop a pawn for no reason. Now again, this you can either move the queen and protect it, asking for a queen trade, but again this bishop here on b6 will still remain. So how do you continue? We get knight to c6, now again attacking the queen, and queen to c5. You have to keep an eye on this bishop, because if you move the queen out of the protection of this bishop, you just get queen captures the bishop. So you have to keep protecting it. And now finally queen to e7, running away or at least trying to get these queens off the board. So queenside castle by Ding. He says because your king is not yet castled, I am just going to try to put some pressure on this semi-open d file that I have. And d6. Finally, this is a new move. All the previous moves have been played before in the game. This is a new move, and from here it's a completely new game for both the players. We get queen to a3. Now you don't really need to keep defending this because it's not attacked, and you can move away with your queen. So queen to a3. We have castles, kingside castles by black, and now g4, simply attacking this knight and asking where do you want to go with this knight. Now knight to h6, just running away and also attacking this piece. Rook to g1, simply defending the pawn this way. And now knight to f7. This knight is either planning to remaneuver itself or just trying to support this knight, or what it's trying to do is support these two squares for the pawn pushing. And f4. You have a nice position, so you have to keep pushing, and Ding decides to push his pawns. Bishop to d7, now developing the bishop and connecting the rooks. h4. Ding has its pawns, and he is trying to create a pawn storm on the king side. Because this king is, even though it's protected, it could become pretty weak, and your queen can come into the game, your rook can come into the game. So there are pretty good exciting ideas here for Ding. Now a5. Not allowing this bishop to escape. For now this piece is defended twice and also attacked twice, but you're not going to get queen captures on that pawn, so you don't really have to worry. We have g5, and here Radjabov thought for quite some time, as he was not sure what to do, and the best course of action would have should have been just f captures g5, then you get h captures g5, but from here you leave this h file semi-open, and white can easily put two of his rooks on the h file, and your king then won't be happy defending the position. You cannot even push h6 because you get h captures, and once you capture with the pawn, your king side is completely falling. So Radjabov, because of all this issues here, he did not want to go for this variation, and he instead played king to h8. Not captures, but king to h8, just defending his king from any of the threats, and it's a king going to the corner is a good position. So now we get queen to b3, trying to put some pressure on this pawn here. Once your bishop moves, this pawn will be attacked, and now rook f to c8. not immediately defending. You have time to defend it if you need, if there is a need. So king to b1. Always, whenever you castle queenside, it's good to put your king, which is on c1, to b1 or even a1, depending on your pawn structure. So here, Ding should eventually put his king to a1 because this right now is susceptible to this wonderful diagonal, and also black has a light square bishop, so he can control this diagonal. So it's always better to put your king on a1. b1 or a1 is completely fine. e5. Now Radjabov wants to create some space in the center because his pieces were kind of stuck in one position, and this leaves a pretty good weakness in black structure. All the light squares are pretty weak, and especially this d5 square. Nothing is protecting this d5 square. So we have knight to d5, immediately jumping in with the knight and attacking the queen. Now first, bishop to f5, check, and like I said, now this light square bishop will control this diagonal, and you have to move your king to a1. That's the only good option here. I mean, you can obviously defend it with this bishop, but you don't want to get exchanges because you are ahead in development, and you can get some nice position out of this. So queen to e6, and now g takes f6. We get g takes f6 and a3. That is another variation. Instead of a3, what Ding could have played is bishop to g2. Just getting on this nice diagonal and connecting your rooks. Trying to get some nice counterplay going. We get a4, trying to put some pressure on this queen. And after queen moves to c3, we get e takes f4. Just a nice getting rid of the pawns, relieving some tension in the center, and knight to c7. Now it's forking these two pieces. So you give up your rook, and you will be down in exchange. So rook takes c7 and bishop takes c7. But here white is in a pretty good advantage. You don't really have to worry. The pawn structure is crazy for black, but you can definitely win this game from here. But instead, Ding decided not to go for this variation, and he chose a3 to just make some room for the queen, or to make some room for the king in future if there is some back rank weaknesses, as there could be. We get rook a to b8. Now even if white plays this knight to c7, he doesn't really have to worry because you just move your queen and you are not in a fork. That is the reason why he played rook a to b8. Bishop to g2 next, finally putting this bishop on a nice diagonal, attacking a couple of pieces indirectly. Once you move the knight, that diagonal opens up, and it's a pretty good piece which controls a nice diagonal. Rook to g8 was played, just trying to get one of the pair of rooks off the board, and knight to e3 first. We get knight to d4, attacking this queen, and bishop takes d4. We have e takes d4. Finally, this bishop from b6, which was controlling this nice diagonal, not allowing any of the pieces on that diagonal, finally is exchanged off for a knight. And here, black's pawn structure is crazy weird because he has a doubled up pawn. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawn islands, but white's not too far away. He has 3 pawn islands. It's still much better than black, but I mean, again, after this position, there's a double attack on this backward b7 pawn. But it's unlikely that he's going to capture, because then you kind of pin your bishop here. So knight takes f5 and queen takes f5, getting more pieces off the board. Bishop to d5, controlling this amazing diagonal and not allowing this king to jump from here and this king is now going to stay there forever because this rook controls this nice g file, and if you exchange off one of the rooks, the second rooks can come to the g file and control this file. So you don't have to worry about anything. This is a wonderful attacking piece, and it has found a nice home on d5 because you don't have any pawns on e file or c file to kick it away. So after bishop to d5, an amazing move, centralizing move for the bishop, you get rook takes g1, exchanging off one pair of rooks, rook takes g1, and knight to h6. Now you have to keep some control over this file because you can even, the white can even play c5 move, and you double up, triple up actually on this wonderful g8 square. And there is nothing black king can do because he is stuck in a corner and is not getting out of the corner anytime soon. So queen to b6, now going after these three pawns, and one of them is definitely falling. It's just he's asking black, which one do you want to protect? So queen to d7, protecting this pawn, not allowing queen captures here, and queen takes d4 now. Again, relieving this d4 pawn, putting the queen on a wonderful diagonal, and it's going to be checkmate soon because there is a lot of pressure here against the black king. Queen to e7, and you have to keep an eye on this pawn. There is nothing you can do. I mean, if you play something else after queen to d4, if you try to go run away, then this is checkmate. There is nothing you can do about it. So thankfully none of that was played, and after queen takes d4 we have queen to e7, keeping an eye on this pawn, and now king to a2, just getting out of the way. You cannot give any more checks here, and the next plan of action is simply to put your rook to e file and then deliver a checkmate here if this picks up, if your black queen decides to pick up the rook. Knight to f5, for now it's attacking this queen and preventing any checks, but queen to c3. And this is a completely winning game for white, but I mean black can try to hold on with something like rook to f8, just putting the rook here and trying to defend this pawn, but instead b6 was played, and this was a blunder, and I don't know how Radjabov missed it. He might have thought, okay, for now I'm protecting this piece with the queen, but your queen has become like a pawn because all it's trying to do now is just protecting another pawn. And that's not what queen should do. Queen should go in for the attack. You can have pawns being protected by the minor pieces, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So h5, immediately trying to take advantage of this, push this pawn even further. After rook to e8, putting some more defense to this e file. This is a completely losing position, as this was again a blunder because now h6, and what are you going to do to stop all these attacks, and there is nothing black can do. He tried to hold on to knight e3, again a big blunder. He thought that okay, if I try to block this e file, then I might be able to survive, but that is exactly what Ding wanted, and he played rook to e1. This was the final position on the board as this wonderful attack came to an end, and Radjabov said, I cannot defend this position any longer, because no matter what you do, you have to keep an eye on this piece. You have to go there's only one square that the queen can move to, that is queen to f8, and then you just get captures here, and you capture and this capture. So again, you have a wonderful piece, wonderful pawn here that's controlling the square. This bishop is an amazing piece, and there is nothing you can do. So after rook to e1, even though Radjabov resigned, I'm going to show you why did he resign exactly, and black can continue to play with the rook to b8, trying to make rook moves, but they are pointless moves because now you get rook capture c3, queen to f8, you have to keep defending this piece, and even rook to e6. Now attacking these two pieces. It doesn't matter if you try to run away with the queen, with the king I mean, because if you try that, then you just get rook captures on f6 and you get a discovered check. Again, you cannot go here, all you have to do is go here, and then rook takes f8 would be checkmate. So you are out of moves. Queen takes h6, just getting rid of one of the pawns, but now you get rook takes d6, you're finally going to eliminate this pawn, then you're going after this pawn. There is nothing, literally nothing that that black can do here. Rook to f8, trying to protect it. Queen to d4, now you attack these pawns. Once you pick that up, you're going to pick up this pawn and push your pawns to victory. And Radjabov knew all of this, and there is no point in continuing further, so in this position, on move 40, he resigned. And Ding took a wonderful 1-0 lead, actually 1.5 to 0.5 lead, and it's an amazing how these grandmasters think and how they see how the positions will play out, and they play accordingly. Positional chess, amazing moves. So I hope you enjoyed the second game from the finals. The third game will be played today, and we'll see how that goes. But till then, namaste. See you next time.